Good evening, Rando fans, and welcome to twitch.tv/Go Mode Podcast. Tonight, we have a very special Challenge Cup match. This is the tiebreaker round, game one between Oro and BumRushBlitz. My name's Dante, and I'm joined in the booth tonight by Chirality. How are you doing this evening?
I'm doing pretty good. How about you?
I can't complain. Looking forward to this series between these guys. If you saw the Go Mode Podcast Mentor Tournament a while back, these guys put on a really good show there. And looking forward to seeing them here in the Challenge Cup stage at this point.
And a special thing about this match, and us too, is that I believe that you were a mentor yourself for BumRushBlitz at times. Is that correct?
Yeah, BumRush had several different mentors. I was one of them, and I believe you were Oro's mentor. Is that correct?
Indeed. So we kind of have a little thing here where, as we're commentating, we're also watching the little birds that we help grow just fly into the world and fan off from themselves. It's very poetic.
Yeah, and the sad part is, us being here in the booth when if we see them do something that we are like, why are you doing that? We can't really do anything about it. We can't say, hey, maybe you should try this, or you could route this in like we did then. At this point, it's all on them. This is no longer a mentor scenario. And we do, I wish Oro the best of luck as well as BumRushBlitz. I'm impartial. I think both of us are as far as who we're going to be rooting for per se. But I think we're getting started here.
Indeed, we have an eater in Link's house, so pretty free. Not exactly an item that does anything for now, but you're always happy to see him down. Oh, we have a really quick map check. I only had time to see. I saw that Tower Hair was a pennant. The rest I don't know.
That was a 5-6 over on Eastern Palace. Desert, a normal crystal. Just to go over it really quick as we see both of them starting from the house. BRB and Oro both getting a bomb drop there from that guard. That's going to be a nice thing to have. Tree Pulse magic, but we are doing a normal open seed tonight. 7-7, 7 crystals to get into GT, and 7 to defeat Ganon as well.
Indeed. A big 20 at Uncle and a bow. That's a great start.
This is that one time, potentially, the people who put off the Uncle route would be in a bind, but luckily for both of these guys, both starting at the house and doing the Uncle route, so we both have that bow pretty early on.
It adds the possibility of doing a particular play, which is to rush Eastern Palace, disregarding the need for a fire source to actually see and complete a dungeon. And it's possible that's what BRB is actually doing right now, while Oro is doing a more standard play, probably going to be the forest checks into Kakariko.
And I do actually like both of these plays, honestly. Oro having, BRB having that bomb, going to be able to check Sahasrara on the way here. So that bomb drop was convenient. We did see the flippers show up on Oro's side in Sankheart. So that's potentially useful. That's going to be some knowledge Oro's going to have once he gets to the eastern side of the world, that those checks are in logic. Hey, there's a sword in the back of Saha's closet. The closet actually having some use for once.
That is super convenient. Oro just picking up a little bit more money in the forest, and we'll see what he gets from the drop. But I don't think that any of the routes so far is really favored. Once Oro has done Kakariko, then it does make sense to go back to doing the Eastern Palace checks. Meanwhile, BumRush will have to go back and do the Kakariko checks later. What could actually benefit him is if he find a flute or a ball inside Eastern Palace. That will be a significant time gain for him.
Yeah, most definitely. Good for Oro here that we've got $60 at least already. Kind of that magic number you want to look for is what, 50? That way, at some point you're going to get the other 50 to get Bottle Vendor from either Blind's Hut and or the Well.
Yeah, so he's going to be able to buy the Ball Vendor item, no problem. The question is, will he get just a little bit of extra so he can buy some bombs when he finishes Kakariko to solve his bomb draft. And, oh, and he gets it.
Oh,
Oh, he gets a lot more.
Oh, okay, we're just gonna keep going.
So I bless him with lots of fortune. That's pretty nice. You're welcome.
That was quite a bit of money. I think we're pretty much set almost for the rest of the seed already.
He can buy Bullvender, he can buy bombs, he can pay Zora, and he can enter Pod with that money. So yeah, we are set.
Yeah, it always feels really good when you get the 300s up front. I like that initial withdrawal from the rando pool, but here we finally get to see our check into the well. Just 20 bucks in the first chest. That second chest hanging out in the back does take a little while to get to, but another 20 bucks. So Kakariko fully loaded with money tonight. What? Okay, so there's a lamp. That's good. That kind of is going to show, that's going to make things a little faster maybe for Oro when he does decide to come to Eastern. It doesn't matter how good you are, as we see a cape there on Bottle Vendor. Anytime you do a dark room without the lamp, it's always going to be just a little bit slower. It's never fully optimal. And, you know, having that lamp, that'll allow him to potentially get a little bit of time advantage, at least on the Eastern portion of the play tonight.
So now Oro can burn his money. I apologize. But yeah, like, all the execution right now that BRB is doing in Eastern Palace, and like losing because he doesn't actually see everything, that's time that Oro is going to gain. And so far, BRB has not found anything of real significance in Eastern Palace, so it's unfortunately not going to benefit him. So basically, like, both plays that the players are doing, Eastern Palace and Kakariko, the other player is going to have to do it anyway, so really it's about the execution at this point. Or if either of them finds the flute. BRB not going for the damage boost on
being
top.
only at 3 hearts, it's a little tough to do, so he's actually going to have to kill everything here. There's a nice fairy drop for him. Going to give him another shot at this, but does get a fire rod, so that's a nice little find. It's not our only fire source, since we did find lamp, and lamp would be required to get that logically.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I was going to point out. If the dungeon was reversed and you could actually get that item with the lamp, without the lamp, but go with to the boss with one, then you could have had that fire rod to complete the dungeon. But that's not the case. It's reverse. So that fire rod is going to be something that Oro is going to find very shortly, because it just makes sense to not really delay Eastern with such an early bow. So,
yeah, I like the play Oro made to go ahead and just do those CAC checks, just to see, you know, if there's a little bit of, you know, ease or quality of life items, which we found some. You know, lamp and cape, both nice quality of life items. Lamp especially for your logic reading here in Eastern. But yeah,
I doubt he's going to have to use his cape in Eastern Palace.
Oh,
especially since it's a dungeon that you're supposed to clear with 4 hearts. But yeah.
Yeah, we don't need that for Eastern tonight. Just, you know, those quality of life things. I mean, then again, we could run into something where we see it, you know, Bumper Cave could come into play. It's kind of rare. It's that one scenario. There's the sword for Oro, so making those same plays. Meanwhile, BRB headed into the Armos fight, setting up for the quick kill here, getting the 5 to the right, and it looks to be in good position to finish this off. And gets it very nicely done, and there's a hammer.
Eastern Palace was actually packed, but nothing that makes his routing of Kakariko faster. Because to be able to get Darkhold access and go to the Darkhold from Kakariko, he's going to have to need a glove, which is not in CAC. So if he decides to do South Shore before Kakariko, it's entirely possible that he might find a glove and then be able to use that to enter the Darkhold right away. But also we need the Moon Pearl. And also he didn't pick up his flippers yet that are in Sanctuary. which would actually give him the information that all the water checks are currently in logic. So there's still a lot of places to look into right now before you actually get the glove and Moon Pearl right away. So we'll have to wait and see if his current routing is going to benefit him. Here in the dam we only find 10 arrows so far. We'll have to wait and see what the sunken item is.
Yeah, the South Shore play, there is, 5 items over in Mini Moldorm, as well as the 2 here at the dam. Interesting to see this early with the Kakariko skip. I've seen a few runners decide to make this decision. It's not just they forgot it, but as in they actually actively are avoiding Kakariko, and sometimes that does pay off. Now, that's a nice find there. Having a bottle, when BRB does decide to head over to CAC, we'll be able to do that bottle vendor in 1 check. Most likely it's a big 20, the way Kakariko was going. Speaking of big 20s, there's 20s from the bush crab, so much money in this seed.
Yeah. So if Sick Kid pays off, then that can be a significant time save depending on what it is. Like if it's a Moon Pearl, then that's huge, because Aura's probably going to check everything else before actually turning in that ball. Because at that point, when you did Kakariko, you're going to want to save the Sick Kid check for when you are actually going to enter the Dark World to do both at the same time.
Yeah, most definitely.
And here in Mini Moldorm, we have a piece of heart, we have 3 bombs, 6 bombs now, half magic, that's really nice to find, and a big 20. So the only real item value is half magic. That's going to be a significant time save in some dungeons. You do not have to worry about your magic as much and min-maxing it, we'll say.
Yeah, definitely. Half magic, another huge quality of life item. It's not really logically required for anything, but if it shows up along the way, I don't think I've met a runner that would complain that they had half magic.
Yeah, it saves time. Oh, that's not what you want. BRB taking an unfortunate death on the way to Ice Rock Cave. These crabs, they don't forgive. Sometimes their movement can be very erratic and then you get punished. But now that actually gives BRB information that the water checks were in logic all along.
Yeah, and that may be kind of, I don't know, like a happy accident or something, It's like you stumble into the best possible scenario with him taking that death. And, it is a long walk back, so that is a bit of a time investment. But
unfortunately, I think the best case scenario for him would have been to not die and then do the fake flipper checks. And then later on, like, probably get a payoff from it. And then later on, see that what he got is actually in logic and then act on it. The only unfortunate problem for him is that if he did that, he would not have been able to get the Zora item because he has yet to visit CAC. He didn't get the real fortune there.
Yeah, and that's kind of keeping him from potentially orphaning things. Meanwhile, Oro, making his way to the back of Eastern, did get that Fire Rod. And Oro going to be taking on Armos Knights here, getting a little bit of ammo replenishment up to the full 30 arrows, and 3.5 hearts should be all good to go here. Taking a little bit of damage there, but that's okay because this fight is pretty free, I'd say. Gonna get him down to 2 here. And doing a nice job to recover there, to not let that last one turn red and kind of aggro to you to replenish its health. So nicely done, getting that hammer and that first crystal. So, I mean, we've got a lot of money. We're 12 minutes in and we each have 1 crystal. We're 1/7 of the way there.
Yeah. So now the unfortunate thing for both runners is that both have an Eastern, and we got real value for that. We got a Fire Rod, we got a hammer, but none of these items actually open anything right now. So basically, the answer to this seed to be able to proceed forward is going to be either at Agnes Cave, in Ice Mud Cave, or one of the 4 water checks. 5.
Yeah, and I'm a big proponent of, those flippers. We haven't used those yet for anything logical, and my money's going to be something behind those flippers, like for our next piece. Could be the glove, could be the pearl. but I have a feeling we're going to see something in those water checks. And Oro heading to South Shore now, going to be checking the dam, just as BumRushBlitz did. I'm pretty sure he'll be able to route in all of that, those water checks as well.
He has 1,000 rupees.
Oh man, we're so rich.
Didn't really need to farm the bush crabs, but now, like, hindsight 2020 for him, he didn't know. So what I think is probably the most likely thing to happen is that we're going to find a glove, and then we're going to have to go to that mountain to find our moon pearl somewhere. I'd be surprised if we just find both free in these nearby checks. Usually seems they make you work a little bit more for your stuff. Maybe it's going to ball? Oh no, just 3 bombs. So the small advantage that BRB had getting that ball before doing his first visit in Kakariko, unfortunately not paying off.
Alright, so Oro doing the mini Moldrum Cave, getting those bombs, the half magic, which is pretty nice, and that little bit of extra money. So we'll see. I'm sure Oro is going to make his way up to Ice Rod Cave. Maybe we can finally find out what's going to be in.
He has a better start than BRB, has a little bit more health right now, so there's a possibility he's allowed to make a mistake with a crab, no problem. And
yeah, the crabs, just like you were saying earlier, so punishing in the early game here. You know, the 2 hearts per hit. So he's got basically 1 hit he can take from pretty much anything without being worried, I guess.
It is the only enemy in the Light World that does 2 hearts of damage. Also, because he has the flippers, he could do that little route, jumping to the water. Not only is it faster, but you have to interact with a lot less of the crabs, so it's also safer to do. Ice Rod Cave being a bust on the piece of heart is actually going to extend his health to 5 hearts, so early on you're going to take it, no problem. Makes you happy, makes you safer, because you never know when we have a fire rod. So the first thing, the next logical step when we enter the Darkhold might be to go kill Moth right away, and for that you are always happy to be as healthy as possible.
Yeah, that's not a fight that you want to enter into with very low health. That can end pretty quickly for you. It can end quickly for the Moth as well, but it depends on your item layout. But just a red goo bottle hanging out on Hobo, on the island. But hey, speaking of Hobo, that was a full heart container. And we were just talking about getting healthier, so that's going to be very welcome with both of these runners, I think.
High five. And Oro's going to claim his 6th heart here. So now we are down to Agnes Cave and the Waterfall Fairy and Zora and the Ledge Island for possible progression areas. Everything else has been done. A Moon Pearl alone is not enough to give us Darkhold access. What we could have, however, would be a Moon Pearl and another sword. Oh, we have the cape.
Yeah, we have cape.
We have the capes.
Just thinking, this is starting to look like Agab, but we do have front of escape, as well as, depending on the key layout, we have back of escape too. So those are some options. We could bundle that in with that Aga play if we decide to make it. But 1v1 situation, a lot of times you see runners decide to, bundle all of that together. There's a book.
Do you take the 50-50 that you can actually complete desert right now? Without the boots?
See...
Oh, you don't have the glove either, so you don't want to go there.
It's tough to make that call. We'll see what Zora has, but I think there's a little bit of value just because we haven't seen Agina or the Desert Ledge, and you don't want to invest time in Aga.
Okay, that changes things.
Alright, we got the booties coming up here. That's going to make things go a little...
So now the entirety of the front of Desert Palace is in logic. You still can't complete it because you don't have your glove, but it feels a lot better to go there. You can run there, you know you can get every single item in the front. So you're going to get 1 unique item guaranteed. But yeah, That also opens bonk rocks that are checkable quickly, and if people are forced to do, well, I would have said if people hadn't checked Lumberjack, then that's an incentive to actually check it at the same time, but both runners did it, I'm pretty sure.
I actually think both runners actually skipped over checking Lumberjack. I'm not
They
sure if
skip?
Oro did. I know BRB did skip it, but we saw Zora tonight. Unfortunately, is about as valuable as buying a brand new car. That payoff, you spend 500 and lose all but 5 of it right there. So
That's
the
unfortunate.
$5 payout, yeah, not as good as you would want.
And what was the item on the ledge? Oh, yeah, it was the boots.
Yeah, you see,
How did I forget so quickly?
Oro's zipping around over there. So this is going to be, I think, that desert / Agina play. And I like this because there is an opportunity. Glove can be inside here. And, you know, there's, what, 1 in Agina, 1 on the ledge. And with boots, that's guaranteed at least 2 items, or 2 checks, rather, in desert. And I'm pretty sure we're going to get a key regardless. So that's going to give us right side access. It's just a matter of whether or not we'll be able to complete the boss.
Yeah, you're guaranteed to have access to every single item location except what's on the boss. So you get 1 item from desert for sure, no matter what. And then you set yourself up later to be able to come back and be able to kill Lanmo really quickly. If you have mitts and flute and mirror, then it's just a formality at some point. Just come back and claim your crystal. More money in Agata. So in the early Sphere one, we had $300.
That's so much money for early game.
Yeah. And on the desert ledge, we get 3 bombs, so nothing there. So there is still potentially 2 items in desert. We know we're going to get 1 for sure, but maybe they're going to get 2. At least it clears out options. If there's no value that's found in Desert Palace, then or knows I just go to Howl Castle. And if you find nothing in Howl Castle, then you do Aga. And the Moon Pearl at that point is going to be on the pyramid. And it sucks, but yeah. When you're at that point,
Yeah.
it's basically like whoever cleared the overworld more efficiently than the other player is going to have the advantage at that point.
All right, so there's our small key for Oro over in Desert. This little bit of divergence really could kind of set the tone for the way this seed's going to pan out. Oh, there's a pearl. That's exactly what I was getting at. If one person found the pearl before the other, that was going to be potentially huge. And Oro getting that in Desert, we may see BRB make the Aga play. Could still be the correct play, just not going to have a pearl with it, having to go into Desert afterwards or something.
It is a correct play, unless Oro just happens to find a glove, or BRB, a glove, in Escape. But if you're going to do Escape to get Darkhold access, without doing the Escape proper for items, that's really ballsy in my opinion, so I doubt that Oro will just do Aga while skipping these checks and potentially skipping a glove.
Yeah, we'll probably see all that, as well as the back. That is in logic, because we did get that key. So, I guess when you're at, what, 6 hearts, it's still not too terribly time-consuming, unless we find Blue Mail to take a death warp to the ropes and the rats in the back of Escape.
That's definitely the way to go. It's too many items there to skip. And we found a second item, so it's just going to be about going back later to kill Lanmo for the sake of it, just for the crystal. We know there's not going to be a progression. Also, I just noticed his file name.
I thought I saw that earlier, but it was like right as we got started, so I didn't want to mention it, but yeah, that's pretty good.
As I'm talking, I realized, why did I just read my name?
Oro got it good there.
And we get the Bonk Rocks check before we go to Howl Castle, only a piece of heart. So after that, I believe it is time to check Lumberjack, because I guess I hallucinated that he checked it.
So Oro or BRB did route that in with Bonk Rocks before doing Hyrule Castle, and it is a big 20. So both runners going to have that information here in just a moment. There's a big 20, speaking of those, for BumRushBlitz inside a Dark Cross. Darkcross coming up empty today, but we do have 3 checks here in the back of Hyrule Castle, so it would be interesting to see if a glove shows up here. It would be...
Oh, pet check. Pet check coming.
Ooh.
That
That's going to
is...
get its dream and hopes and dreams maybe spoiled or fulfilled here in the first 30 minutes.
That is basically, unless you find a mirror and do Skullwoods later, the best time to route it and potentially get a big knowledge advantage on the seed. We don't know yet the pendants now in the Darkhold dungeon, so it's difficult to theorize what can potentially be on the pad, but we'll have that answer very soon. And it's just 10 arrows, unfortunately, so no for today.
Nothing special there. However, things that are nice. We do have a level 2 sword, also known as the Master Sword. I think that's an important Zelda item. But BumRushBlitz did pick that up in the back of Escape, making that play to Desert now. So, unfortunately, going to have to make a couple of one extra trip to Hyrule Castle, but I think Oro is going to be pretty quick to make the Escape play. The runners are probably going to be a little synced up, almost synced up rather, once we get back to that Hyrule Castle area.
Oro confirmed a creeper while using my name as his file name. That's great. But with the pad using his boots, he actually routes in the sick kid check before checking other things. I forgot what was on library.
I think library was all garbage.
Yeah.
But it looks like Oro dashing back up. I'm assuming going to take this route maybe to Hyrule Castle.
He can't. He doesn't have a glove. Or just enter it. Don't you need a glove to go there?
No, you need the glove
you
if you're coming east side.
Oh, yeah,
yeah. And this is something, you know, it's kind of a coin flip in my mind. You know, runners, you see them running more when they have boots instead of opting for save.
I don't know if it's faster than the save and quit Link's house and going up.
Yeah, the thing that makes people, you know, consider it is just the whole patch they did where the title screen is like an additional, they say 1.5 seconds longer to keep MSU packs, like the custom music you can do in Rando, from crashing. And it just adds, you know, it feels like it adds 12 eternities when you're racing. So I can understand why runners want to minimize saving and quitting as much as they can. Yeah,
but for 1 second, it's not that much ground won with boots, honestly. So yeah. I think people over-dramatize that 1.5 seconds a lot. It feels longer than in practice it actually is. So maybe it breaks even, but I think that a save and quit is still faster than, like, from Sick Kid. Do you do a save and quit and go to Hyrule Castle, or do you dash there?
I mean, personally, I think even with the extended time, I save and quit. But you know, I don't really want to say it's a time loss here. You should be fine.
It's not a time gain / loss that's really significant in the grand scheme of most races.
Oh yeah, that's for sure.
But if you lose your match by 4 seconds, then you start thinking about it a lot. But BRB claim his Moon Pearl, still going to complete the checks at the dungeon, just in case. Yeah, he's on the lookout for that glove to have to avoid Aga, but or sing up a Death Warp, and we'll see if he goes for the back or if it's just going to buy the bonnet. I hope for him that he goes for the back to get his Master Sword. That's going to make the Aga Tower much simpler to execute.
Oh yeah, most definitely. And props to Oro there. A lot of runners do forget when you pick up that fairy in a bottle, and I think he got that from the Waterfall Fairy, actually. Yes. That might be our free prize, but always remembering to release those. I think every runner at some point or another has forgotten. And it never feels good when you're expecting to die and then suddenly you're being revived.
In my case, it's every time. I always forget. So that's why I never want to carry fairies, because I always forget. I pick up a fairy, I free it. And then I just decided to get good and not need fairies. That solves the problem.
Well, chat getting its hopes and dreams fulfilled for an Aga Seed. We are entering Aga Tower. I think we've literally hundoed everything we can in Light World.
Yes.
30-minute, around the 30-minute mark for the Aga play here for both guys.
Oro has 30 hundred the seed, except the back of his cave that's following shortly. BRB didn't do Bonk Rocks. He didn't do the why am I blinking? The lumberjack checks.
No, he did. He did route those in.
Did he?
Yes. So before his initial visit to Hyrule Castle, he started, once he got boots, he saved and quit, started at the sink, and routed those in. But I think we're basically, you know, the difference is, I mean, you talked about the 4 sec. Yeah, the ped check's literally the difference at this point, because Oro did have that good bit of an advantage from BRB walking to the South Shore, taking that death.
Mm-hmm. Okay, that makes sense, yeah. Also, my apologies. I feel out of it tonight.
that's why we're a duo.
Yeah.
We look out for each other.
I was going to save time using that Farad. That's when the half magic is really convenient. And it's actually going to save him a lot of more time over the long run if he keeps using his Farad versus BRB using the bow. So that is a potential thing that will give him more time over BRB on his ascent of GT. Aga Tower, wow.
This is the Light World GT. This is GT Light. It's like, it's the freeware version of Ganon's Tower. The paid DLC is in Dark World.
When you're playing ALTTP for the first time, this is basically your midterm exam.
That's it. I like that.
And then when you get to GT, it's the exam. So, I think I'm going to be nice today and hope for like 2 blue balls. Just 2.
I mean, I hope we get 0. I'm always going to root for the runners. I hope it's 0.
Yeah, no, I always hope a realistic number, right? 0 is really hoping high. So far we are at 0, so you're getting your wish.
I mean, 2 for 2, and I lose already, so I'm out.
Technically, it was just 1 guess, since the first ball that Aga throws is always a confirmed non-blue ball, so yeah. So far we're at 1 blue ball, 3 hits. We need, no, 4 hit, that was a guaranteed one, so we need 2 more hits. That's 2 blue balls. Now, if Aga collaborates, I'll be right. So far, so good. And it ends here. Nope. I'm wrong. We are all wrong in this day.
Looks like we did get a guess in chat of 3 from Grey Corvid. So I guess congrats. You guessed 3. Got it right. But off we go to Dark World. So interesting scenario here. We've got flippers, but we don't have a hook shot to traverse. Now it'd be interesting to see if it shows up on Pyramid. Otherwise, pod's basically our only play.
The quick check, for some reason I hallucinated the glove there, and then he checked more properly, and I was sorely disappointed in the 10 arrows that was on the Pyramid. So yeah, pod's the play. We have a bow, we have a hammer, and we have a lamp. Pod is completable. So, and it's a crystal. So we have a last red crystal is at Skullwoods. We have a pendant at Ice Palace, and the last pendant I missed.
Yeah, it looks like, did we miss a pendant in Light World?
No.
It looked like everything was multiple. Like, it didn't look like there was another pendant. I must be losing my mind.
To the Twitch clip I go. Why is my Twitch broken? Why do I not have a clip button? What happened?
Well, we've paid Kiki the entry fee of 110, and off we go into the Palace of Darkness. But with the lamp, it's really not that dark, so it's not as scary.
It's just dark because the walls are gray. It's dark because it's demoralizing. Like, if you suffer from just chronic depression, seasonal depression, then you don't really want to hang out there because it's pretty dull.
That's for sure. The Oro also doing a map check. I think, we called it earlier, but may have missed the correct pendant call. There may be a pendant in Desert. I didn't hear the audio, so I didn't know if Desert was pendant music or not when they were in there. But looks like we only have one pendant in the Dark World today, so I guess it has to be Desert at this point.
Well then. I didn't miss a pendant then. Woohoo. But we do have to find progression there. So, okay, the advantage now, knowing that Desert Palace was a pendant all along, is that they found both items. So they actually do not have to go back to kill Lanmo ever. Especially since Or knows that Pet is dead and it's not a green pendant, so...
Yeah, that's always really good knowledge. You don't have to, waste any more time if we get into, hunting frantically for our final go mode item.
And suddenly that puts in light why Oro decided to specifically go check Ped really quickly with his book. That basically answers the question to him, will I ever have to go back to kill Lanmo? And yeah, for him, the answer was no.
That play makes a lot of sense now, knowing that, Desert is a pendant. So that way, Desert's basically a dead check to him.
Indeed. So we could find a hook shot that will enable us to go to the other side of the Dark World.
Yeah, if the seed really is gonna just kind of be, breadcrumb trail of progression.
Yeah.
Right now it's kind of hit this choke point where both runners, in the same spot, basically because they have to be. There's no way to really divert from here. So, Hook would kind of keep the breadcrumb trail going where we'd have to go around. I take that back. I said, I'm an idiot. I said this was our only play. It's the smart play considering, as you mentioned, we can clear it. But we did have Hammer. We can do the southern portion of Dark World from that Aga portal. So that's something that's on the table for these guys when we finish Palace of Darkness.
That's true, but you have Pod right there. They can full clear, no problem. Your full BRB, you need to hit the switch. But yeah, you have that whole dungeon that you can clear, and it's a crystal, and you have to do it eventually, and it's still 5 checks, so you do it.
Yeah, a lot of item density here. It makes a lot of sense to come here and, clear it out. This is a dungeon that, personally, I like to check as soon as I can. If I can full clear it, it's high priority, especially if it's a crystal.
Plus, it kind of feels bad to go to Pyramid, go to High Cave, and go all the way to Digging Game, and then you found nothing, and it's like, go to Pod. So you save and quit to retake the Pyramid Portal and run there. It's a bit weirder than if you just do Pod right away in the first place.
It looked like BRB was potentially setting up the bomb jump there, the hammer jump. But I don't know if he realized he was down to 2 hearts. Chat was pointing it out. But that would be quite ballsy, because you take a fall there and you're dead. So opting to not do that and just go on through. It's a weird spot, though, because I can see the appeal of wanting to do it. No mirror. You don't want to get stuck where you have to set up a death ward, but maybe it's staying. If he can stay at 2 hearts, it'll work out for him. There's Powder, so that's another light world check that's opened up. I'm sure they are absolutely thrilled to find that.
I think he could have gone for the hammer jump anyway, because for it to save you time, you need to do it pretty much 1 try. So you try to go for it. If you don't get it, then you just move on with your life and you do it normally. So, but still, yeah, when you have the risk and when you're in a tournament match like that, you're going to want to take as least risk as possible. Smart use of the cape right there to actually not have to wait out the fire, so he can actually survive and keep moving forward. Finds a full heart that's going to give him his safety to be able to open all the chests without having to waste more of his magic.
And making sure to get hit in the previous room while opening that door to take that 1 additional heart of damage. So setting up the Death Warp.
Yes.
And I guess off we go to Helmasaur. The only thing we found in here is, so far, is that powder. And powder really, like I said, one check. That's really... that breadcrumb trail is starting to look really good.
Is Hype Cave the answer? For once?
I mean, it would be the only time, I feel like, in version 31, the current version here of the randomizer, that Hype Cave could pay off.
Is Hype Cave even hype if you're expected to get value there? Because you just know.
It's just expected, yeah, at that point.
Also, I believe that Oro just gained significant time on BRB just in this dungeon alone. The time difference between both of them has shortened significantly, so it might even get even shorter depending on how the fight against Helmasaur goes.
Yeah, these guys are pretty much neck and neck at this point. And I mean, it's probably going to be, if it keeps going where they're taking the same route, we may see these guys kind of trade off the lead, so to speak, back and forth several times throughout this.
Yeah. It's all about that execution. Every single small mistake or a well-executed room adds up. And like, say they did the exact same routing through the entire seed, then it could just be execution and gauntlet makes the difference between the current time between both runners. So just the execution of doing this turtle room faster than the others is a huge difference.
Yeah, absolutely. Having the sword beams can be a little problematic here in this turtle room, though. I think Oro.
And as you see, sometimes using the hammer can be problematic as well, because the hitbox to flip turtles can really work against you.
Yeah, when they start flipping around like pancakes, it's pretty bad. But BRB and Oro both entering into the Helmasaur fight. Just need 17 shots. BRB gonna have to be very careful here, down to 1 heart. So any hit here basically going to be a death. Unfortunately taking that death. So this is Oro's time to get a little bit of an advantage. Looking pretty good on health. Does manage to get the mask off, and off we go here into phase 2. Avoiding that tail and avoiding the fireballs as well. Should be able to finish this off here.
Yes, well done. If there was a situation where you had a pendant on Helmasaur that was a strict we're getting out of here, we are not wasting more time in this dungeon, BRB. Unfortunately, it is required to finish the seed, so he's going to have to come back. I had my timer ready to time the time difference between both Helma kills and see the exact time difference between them, but unfortunately it became minutes. Or taking a save and quit. Yeah, what he has in logic right now is basically Magic Bat and basically Hype Cave and going to wow, I'm not finding my words tonight. My apologies, everyone. Going to a Stumpy and a Shovel game, digging game.
Yeah, and we did get the hook shot, so that's important. We totally missed that. That's we were so enamored with how close they were, and then suddenly weren't. Oro gonna opt to not head to the Hype Cave.
Skip Hype Cave?
Yeah, we're gonna skip over that, and we're going to West Dark World. I mean, I like this play. So one reason I like it, we know Thieves is a crystal. It's clearable. Skull Woods also a crystal. It's fully clearable with our item layout.
That is fair. There's nothing that we can really find in Hype Cave that's going to make these plays much faster. So,
I mean, unless both gloves show up there. I mean, that would you could still route it in by just going north, but still you can make the play. I like the way Oro's routing it. You can make the play, clear the dungeons along the way, and then swoop down and do your South Dark World checks. And I'm sure a glove's going to show up along the way.
Yeah. No, that makes perfect sense. I agree. So we found a net on Bumper Ledge, I don't think we're going to pick it up ever.
Yeah, we're not going to need that. Meanwhile, BRB did finish off Helmasaur, getting that hook shot and also getting that second crystal. It's not often you get to see a seed where the first 2 dungeons you beat are Eastern and Pod. It seems that a lot of times that those are the last 2 because you're usually looking for a bow.
Yeah, even with progressive bows and V31, it feels like you're not finding the bow ever still because they're progressive. And then the game knows that the silvers are not really needed for anything. They like to put them locked behind the first bow in the first place, so
yeah,
it's basically status quo.
I miss getting the occasional silvers. I feel like they never show up anymore.
Yeah. It feels bad when you're doing mid-modem early game and all you get is silver things, but can you give me something useful instead?
Well, there's a small key in the vanilla big key chest of Skull Woods. So Oro, we'll see if Oro decides to. I doubt he'll dip the front here. Yeah, gonna head to the back. I like the play to do this. Heading
he
to
has
the back.
to do it anyway, so may
Take
as
the
well.
false out.
It travels better this way rather than doing it back and forth and back and forth. So he has 7 hearts for the Mothla fight, but he has a Fire Rod with half magic, so shouldn't be too stressful.
Yeah, we also have that cape, and this is where that quality of life, you know, from having the cape kind of comes in. You know,
It's rare
that's
that you see someone actually use the cape against Moth versus just spamming the Fire Rod with half magic, though.
Yeah, it's kind of pick your poison. You could Fire Rod's great because it can knock Moth off of those spikes for you. At the same time, you know, like I said, do you want to use cape just to feel a little safer? It can bail you out of some spots. It's just, you know, you play to your strengths and hope and just try to stay alive in low percent Moth fights. The damage will come to Moth. It's just don't die in the process.
My perspective for that is that it's actually harder to deal the damage to Moth in the first place because its positioning sometimes can be a real problem for accessing with a melee weapon. So with Fire Rod, it's usually simpler, more guaranteed damage over time. So if you dodge the hits, then you don't have a problem. But you can't activate your cape and feel safe, and then Moth decides to hug the spikes forever, and now you just feel stupid. So yeah, it's pick your poison.
And Oro giving us that nice swag hook dash through there, lighting up all those torches, avoiding the Wall Master. That's the important part of this room. And off we go to the Moth fight. So basically, Master Sword and Fire Rod are going to do the same amount. As long as the spikes don't eat the damage, we need 8 successful hits. A spin counts as a tempered, so that's basically 2. But that was a very solid fight from Oro. Down goes Moth. Just a compass.
Yeah, very quick.
I think we still have, what, still 2 items left, but they'll be in the front somewhere.
So.
But that's both of our 5-6 crystals. So the routing here looking really good for Oro, being able to potentially do that big red bomb at the same time of finishing up the Southern Dark World area.
And we find a mirror, we can get the even faster way to actually get to the pyramid because we have the Aga portal open.
That's true. Hopefully we get a mirror. That would help him out if we did.
That would be a very nice item, and they do need to find it at some point to be able to do Swamp Palace, which is a crystal as well.
I mean, this could be a really niche scenario. If they do get mirror, we have the full loadout to full clear Swamp Palace as well. We really don't even need a glove to get in there. It's convenient to have, obviously, at that point, but we do have, man, we could potentially have 4 and maybe 5 crystals.
BRB is lining himself to have a much harder fight. I don't feel comfortable about this myself.
Yeah, this is definitely going to be really tough here. Get your blessings in chat for BRB here. Half heart, going to be real close. is opting to pull the cape out. This could be a little slower, but definitely safer. Gonna just see what is gonna happen as far as the Moth RNG, because the magic doesn't last forever.
No. And he got a lot of hits in. Oh, that was the worst time to run out of magic there.
Yeah, that is unfortunate for BRB, but such is the breaks with Mothula sometimes.
Does he have the magic to be able to try again? Is there enough magic in this room?
There should be, since he has half magic, but it's gonna be, it'll be tight.
Yeah, that's true. But, like, he basically lost his ability to use Farad or Cape against the boss, and now in this room you can't just spam Farad either to make quick work of the Gibdos, so that's a significant time loss right there.
Definitely. Could have used Ether here, would have sucked up a decent chunk of magic, but that would have, you know, handled these Gibdos pretty quickly as well.
Yeah, but I think he wants his excess magic to be buffer to use against Moth. It's probably a safer play. I probably would have powdered an anti-fairy there for just the safety 2 extra hearts.
Alright, so here we go, BRB versus the Moth round 2. Oro getting his big key out of Thieves Town. That's guaranteed, obviously, to be in the front. Ooh, switching over to the hammer.
And immediately regretting his decision.
Yeah, it's going to be real tight.
Yeah.
You kind of have to... I see him... There we go. Okay. Getting it done on try 2. I commend the effort. A lot of times going back in after taking a death to Moth doesn't usually end well for a lot of runners. You know, I'm not saying he's tilted, but sometimes the tilt from Moth does set in. It's very easy to get upset by that boss because of that spike RNG.
And even if you don't really feel that upset, like it's definitely a factor in things. So sometimes when you have a death like that, it's good to just cut your losses and then go for it. But I think the extra thing that probably motivated him to be able to go back and kill the boss is to get the second red crystal. That might end up being significant in his current routing.
Oh, for sure.
He can't just like spit on it, then finish Thieves Town, find nothing, go all the way to Hype Cave, find nothing, and then it turns out the red crystal was the answer. And then that will feel extra bad. Nothing too significant in Thieves Town so far.
Yeah, I missed the first 2 chests, but I know that's, I mean, we got a heart piece there. I did see a full heart container in that vanilla big key chest, but no progression really.
I believe there is 2 or 1 item left. I was a little bit, my attention was held by that risky mod fight, so.
Yeah, I know what you mean. Oro realizing, hey, I don't have a glove. I've got to do the inverted strats. It's not often in a normal open seed you get to Thieves Town and you don't have a glove. So that muscle memory of just wanting to pick that block up is kind of engraved into your memory.
And sometimes it's not just about your route, it's about, I'm 51 minutes in this seed. I'm supposed to have a glove. What is going on? So you don't even think about it. Just go for it, and oh, that's disappointing. And then you find the thing you don't want to find because you have to do an extra check.
And the menu is just so sporadic right here that there's no convenient way to mirror or a menu over to your hammer. It's always a pain, but let's see what the big chest is going to have. 20 bucks. I mean, that's...
Wasn't worth it.
Kind of similar to what Kakariko was, just money everywhere.
BRB finding the Tempered Sword in the brewery, though. That would have been very convenient for the mod.
Yeah, very helpful for Moth. Not so much for Skullwoods, or rather Thieves Town, since that's where we are. You know, Blind just needs 9 hits. It's just 9 hits. Just count them out. And speaking of, here we go on Oro's side. Into the Blind fight we go. This is scripted. It can be unscripted, and looks like we are through phase 1. And it's not something, looks like we are a little off script, but, you know, we say this in a lot of matches. It is not imperative that you keep it on script. It's just imperative that you don't let it get out of control for yourself. And Oro doing a nice job there to finish that up, keeping everything under control. There's our final item, just 3 bombs, so no progression here in Thieves Town.
This is unfortunate, but it's a thing that both runners had to do, and there was no routing choice that makes the dungeon faster for one player or another, so it's pure execution dungeon right there. BRB got his Tempered Sword, but I don't think it gives you a significant time save in that dungeon overall, so it's not a huge deal, really.
Yeah, and Oro's going to be getting that here in just a minute, so they'll be basically on even footing. We'll get some new checks on Oro's side here once he gets that Tempered Sword out of the brewery and then heads south. We do have Dig Game. Still no glove, though. 54 minutes. Are we going to get to that full 1 hour mark with no glove?
They're in the Hype Cave.
Yeah, probably.
Or Swamp Palace. If we find a mirror in the Hype Cave, then they're in Swamp Palace for sure. That's
mirror would be legit. I would love to see that, because that would be the potential, like I was saying, of 5 crystals with no glove.
Yeah, and then you find a glove, and it doesn't help you get a 6 or 7 crystal. You're still stuck.
Yeah, you're going to need both gloves. We still need cane, still need an ice rod. We don't know our medallions yet either. Need a flute. Whole lot we still need.
Mm-hmm.
Dig Game not playing kind. A lot of digs tonight, but looks like just a heart piece. So off we go to the races. Let's see what else we can find. Hype Cave or Stumpy next, and then Hype Cave.
And if we got nothing, then we are going to Magic Bat. Woohoo! Yeah, it's Hype Cave or Magic Bat, or... Am I forgetting something there? I don't think I am.
No, I think that's literally it. So Hype Cave, well, it could be Pyramid Fairy, so that's on the table now.
Oh, of course, yeah, we got it.
We legit have, what, 7, 8 if you count Magic Bat. 8 checks, I think, left. So something's got to show up here in just a moment.
8 checks, but 3 locations. There has to be something here. Has to.
Oh, here we go. We got a mirror, boys. We're going... Oh, and a cane! We're going to Swamp Palace.
The game does nothing yet, but you're always happy to find it. And yeah, like right now, you're diffing Swamp Palace.
I mean, it's so exciting.
You're complete. Yeah.
It's so exciting because we got 2 pieces of progression in one place. Like, that hasn't happened, I don't feel like, this whole seed.
Hype Cave actually hype.
Here we go. We're gonna get here. Both gloves are gonna be in here. I'm calling that. That's
no.
I'm gonna predict both of them in here. I've seen it before, and they were both left side. It was terrible, and I wouldn't wish that upon anybody.
One's in there, the other one's on that mountain. That's my hot take.
Yeah, if we get one, there's a lot of stuff open up on the mountain.
No, no. Okay, let's get a little bit trolly. Just to be a little contrarian to your plan of both gloves here, I think we find 0 glove and we'll find the left side.
Oh my god. That would be something else.
Yeah. It's unlikely, but that would be pretty entertaining, I feel, with how the seed has been going. These runners can't catch a break and get their glove.
Well, BRB did finish off Thieves Town, getting that 4th crystal. Nicely done. So off he's going to go. This is like what we were talking about, the breadcrumb trail of progression. And these guys, you know, we've seen BRB unfortunately take a couple of boss deaths, and that's basically the difference. Oro did invest some time in a ped check, and BRB has opted to not do that. BRB kind of taking the break here. BRB saying BRB, and we'll figure out
Aha.
what's going on.
I see what
Sorry,
you
that
did
was
there.
Terrible pun.
Fun fact, if we do happen to find both gloves in Swamp Palace, then going straight to a high cave after doing pod would have been the optimal play. You grab your mirror, you grab your mitts, you can do the south route, do Village of Outcasts, kill blind, and at the same time you can do mirror to K45. You actually set yourself to be able to mirror to the graveyard edge, and you can do Kingstone at the same time as everything. So that would have been the optimal play. But that's only if we find both gloves in this dungeon, and so far, we're not finding them.
I'm not 100% sure what BRB was doing there, but did take a death. Maybe had to take a bathroom break. Sometimes that happens, unfortunately. These seeds do last, upwards of 2 hours.
Sometimes it's called owning a cat.
Oh, that's true too.
Or a dog, or any pet that can be needy at times, and you need to just shoo away for an extra hour because you're kind of busy now and you can't really give them attention.
All right, so we are in the back here of Swamp Palace. We do have a couple of checks left. I gotta say, I did miss what was in the south room, but looks like there's a map, so something's on the left side. But we do have...
The south room was nothing. Okay. Nothing significant. I remember seeing it. It was a red garbage item. So BRB, he actually made an interesting thing from Thieves Town. He decided to save and quit, go back to take the pyramid pole, and then go back to High Cave instead of doing the southern route to do digging game.
Well, he took that death from the Poe, so I'm not 100% sure. I mean, it was forced because it was an overworld death.
Oh, he died. Oh.
Yeah, he died
I thought he was
outside of Thieves Town.
Okay, that explains everything. I thought it was a save and quit. Oh, interesting.
So this is interesting. Yeah, he's opting to skip over the swamp play that we see Oro doing, heading directly to turn in this big red bomb.
Oh, he forgot about his mirror. So if you have a mirror here, you can just walk up, use the mirror, and then retake the pyramid pole again that you unlock when you kill Ag 1 in order to get to the pyramid faster.
Yeah, and that Oro, when Oro remembers that, I'm assuming he will, that'll give him a little bit more time. He can make or extend his lead. Oro getting the quick kill there in phase 2 of Argus. Nicely done. Gonna get a compass, so I guess we've got at least 2 things left side. I think at this point you dive it. You go and you check left side.
There are so little checks remaining in the game. It's the 2 checks there. It's the 2 mirror spots that I said earlier, and then Pyramid Fairy. And speaking of Pyramid Fairy, you got a glove there.
We finally got a glove at the 1 hour, 1 minute mark. That's phenomenal.
There's Magic Bat available as well. That glove, what does that glove open up? It opens logical access to Death Mountain. And besides that, well, the runners no longer have to scramble around to be able to enter Darkhole from the pyramid pole. Besides that, you don't get that much from that glove.
Yeah, the glove doesn't do too terribly much, but that Death Mountain play starting to look really good. It is a pendant on Hera, but it is the green pendant, so there's the possibility of that coming into play. Meanwhile,
there
Oro...
are so many checks. It's very possible that you're going to find myths on the mountain, and then you get access to Dark Death Mountain, which is even more checks with your hookshot. Or is going to go for right side, however. With 2 checks, it's difficult to say no to that. Unfortunately, one of them is possibly the Big Key dungeon, so he's going to have to make his way back to the main room if he really commits to find his items. But at this point, how many seeds have you seen where you can't find a glove and it ends up being left side swamp?
I mean,
At
I've seen
this
a
point,
few of those.
At this point, the confirmation bias kicks in and tells you no, you can't skip Left Side Swamp this seed.
I'd say, you know, for Oro's sake here of doing left side, if I'm in his shoes, Oro has played phenomenally, at least like this beginning portion, playing super well, doing a nice little swag sidewalk accidentally up the ladder. I love when that happens. But
I love that it happened exactly as you said. He's slinging. The timing was impeccable there, but yeah, I agree with you. His boss execution has been very good. His routing has been top-notch as well. So I think that even if it doesn't pay off and BRB decides to not do Left Side Swamp, he's still in good shape to win this race.
Yeah, and if you're Oro, you really do hope something, you know, at least from our vantage point. There's Quake, and that could be huge.
Yes.
Oro, you know, hasn't taken any deaths on the bosses like BRB did. So obviously he doesn't know what's going on his opponent's screen. But we say that to say that, you know, Oro's pretty confident, I think. You know, if I'm in his shoes, I'm feeling really good. The seed's been linear. Just play my game, execute best that I can, see how things shake out. Now, BRB may feel like with this progression that we've gotten, he may be tempted to skip Left Side Swamp. And if Quake comes into play for Meyer or TR or both, that could be potentially a big game changer in the late game.
That can be a race ending, potentially. This, depending on how things line up, it can change everything. And Oro is going to do the tablet, which we also forget was opened up by picking up the mirror. And after that, I think logically you go straight to the Pyramid Fairy. There is no way that you will ever do it even faster.
Oh my god. Why is this seed doing this to these guys?
It's so mean. It doesn't stop. Now you check the you have to check it, right? Do you not check it?
I mean,
is he going to check it, then pick up the bomb? Yeah.
I think maybe not. I'd check it here. I mean, you're never coming back over here, but then again, maybe he's thinking I'll bundle that with Kate 45, but then again, I may would have checked both of those.
Oh, he doesn't have a glove. That's fine.
Oh yeah, you're right. We saw that. We just assumed everyone had it because we're an hour 5 in. Everyone has at least one glove, right?
Exactly. No, he did the correct way to actually check his shovel. Dumb.
This is why Oro is playing and we are commentating, because we would have just tried to go grab a rock.
Indeed. Well, also you have a much different concentration when you're actually playing versus commentating. It uses a different part of your brain. And then we are going to actually check the shovel, and then that will tie itself very nicely to do the pyramid checks. After that, and the swag. 4 not much.
I like it.
Yes.
I like the swag there.
So, is R going to... I don't know about this. Wait. It's going to have
might
mirror.
be a magic bat play.
Yeah, but you forgot he doesn't have mirror. Can't do that, really. I believe that's what he wanted to do. And then he reconsidered that, no, with the resources I have to go back to take the pole, and I can't because I don't have a glove. So that just... He could have used the mirror there, walk to Magic Bat, do it, and then walk back, but it's not necessarily the best time save. And as we both know, it's not necessarily the correct leader, since we know that one of them is specifically correct. Let's see if he's going to use his mirror, and he does.
He remembers it, so a little bit of a time save there for Oro. At least on Oro's side, we did get the dream. 5 whole crystals, no glove. That is Indeed. The absolute dream. But BRB, we were talking about the potential of maybe skipping out on it, deciding to not. So left side swamp it is. So they will both have Quake Medallion once BRB completes this.
It feels so weird, this race, because it feels like they're not really progressing because they're still struggling to find their glove, but with 5 crystals, like, it can end very quickly now. what we are missing is a flute, we need Ice Rod, we're going to need mitts, and we potentially need bombos. That's pretty much it to finish the seed.
And I think Oro's going to go ahead and bundle in the catfish check. That is all by its lonesome and pretty much orphaned. So this is probably the best time to do it if you're going to check it. So I like the routing here decision to go ahead and do that.
I don't know about that. The reason for that is that it's very quickly to go back to do it at any time because we have the Agapole open. So if it pays off, then that's good. You save time. But if it doesn't pay off, if it doesn't pay off, and BRB decides to go straight to the mountain, and the mountain is where the bounty is, then that was all time loss, technically. So we'll have to wait and see what we get, and we get silver. So, yeah,
that could still that could pay off real well. That could pay off for the Ganon fight, as well as we still have to fight Vitreous, and Silvers do seem to save a good bit of time for that fight.
If you do the NMG technique of using Timbered Spin, then your silvers don't really save you much time in comparison. But it's definitely a safety. You know that no matter how much health you're going to... Speaking of health, he gets a fairy drop, but the fairy doesn't want to collaborate.
Oh, alright, finally getting it. There we go.
He nearly hit the transition without actually touching the fairy. That would have been unfortunate. But yeah, like, the silvers give you the guarantee in this that when you actually get to Vitreous, you're not going to have a health problem and stress. It makes the boss just a joke. So now we get 2 more checks, and then I believe it's going to be time to go to the mountain. Unless he decides to do maths beforehand, but at this point I feel it would be an overkill of doing every single check before going to the mountain that you know is basically going to have, like, how many checks at the mountain right now that's accessible?
There's a lot.
You have the Old Man, you have the 2 that are related to Spectacle Rock, you have the Tablet, you have the 2 in Hera, you have Spiral Cave, you have the 7 in Paradox Cave. That's so many items.
Yeah, that's 14, so it's high value at this point. And considering nothing's showing up in these checks, I believe that is going to be the play.
Does he do Magic Bat? That's the question. There is no doubt you do that, because at that point you did everything else except Bat. Though every time I said that, I was wrong because I forgot something, so don't take my word necessarily for it. And yeah, he's going to go to the mountain.
Yeah, I like the mountain play here, just for sheer density. Yeah, it's just so much. There's got to be progression here. There's no... I mean, we could find our Ice Rod and our mitts up here, and at that point, you basically can clear out GT. Or I'm sorry, TR, not GT. We're not there yet. We're getting there. Not quite, though.
Yeah. Needs 2 items for it. 1 item to enter, and 1 item to be able to finish the boss. By this point, there's so little checks left that if you get the opportunity to enter Turok, I feel like you clear as much as you can. There is no doubts there. So Oro has a significant lead right now, I feel, in terms of checks he has done. That lead came from both his execution and just straight up good routing, I feel.
Yeah, and it's kind of playing into Oro's favor, just kind of the whole linearness of the seed, with the execution really being the main factor in, you know, these linear seeds. It's, you want to be able to play as well as you can. So BRB, with the little bit of a different routing that he did, opting to mirror here. This is going to be our Magic Bat check, and this is the 1 check that Oro did leave down here. So if this is something, that's going to be huge for BumRush.
If it's mitts. If it's mitts, it's biggest it could be.
Yeah, that would be huge. I think Ice Rod could potentially be big, which would mean, you know, Mitts are going to be somewhere on the mountain. But this moment of truth here, let's see what we got. Probably 10 arrows. There's Bombos over on Oro's side in Paradox, so we don't have any medallion concerns at this point.
Red Boomerang.
Not what you're looking for, but at least our menu is a little neater at this point.
Yeah, OCD fans rejoice. We get Blue Mail in Paradox, which is going to be really nice just for more safety of mind, especially when going GT if you stay with low health as they have right now. Well, their health pool is fine. It's kind of a hard mode health pool, but you have Blue Mail on top, so that's nice. If they find Mitts, the progression to actually finish would be an Ice Palace, and that's not what the runners want.
So Floating Island, just a heart container. So Oro heading on over to the Hera side of the mountain. We do have Ether Tablet, as we were mentioning, as well as Paradox, or sorry, Spiral Cave. Wow, I can't talk. That's actually Spectacle Rock. All right, so this is Ether Tablet. We'll see what's here.
It's my mistakes of the day that are just getting to you, and we're now both struggling to commentate for some reason when normally it's so easy. We do get the Burna. It's not exactly the most useful item since we already had the cape since like 10 minutes in the seed, so unfortunately not a big deal, but it's another check that's done and checked out, so don't have to think about it anymore. Like, Oro has so little left to do. Besides what's on the mountain, you have that. That's it.
So here we go with the small key and Hera, and Oro is headed to the basement, not opting to skip. So we're getting the check of Spectacle Rock. I got it right. Over on BRB side, just a heart container, I believe, as well as 20 bucks. So no progression there. So off we go to see what Hera's going to have. I'm assuming Mitts are going to show up here. They could still be in Spiral.
Yes.
That would be so rude.
You know what I'm thinking, though? You know what I was talking about Catfish earlier? If progression is indeed the mountain, and it has to be at this point, and BumRush just follows it, and everything falls into place, he's never going to get these silvers. So that's another advantage that Oro has on top of his execution and having more checks done right now.
Oh, absolutely. I agree with you 100% on that.
So we should have the big key here, which enables us to go upstairs. And yeah, with how little checks there are, I believe that you do the dungeon purely because it is the green pennant after all. So it's not just 2 checks, it's 3.
All right, so BRB trying to set up the Hera pot trick here. So this is a key, new found glitch that'll allow us to skip the big key. However, the caveat here is we're not going to be able to open the big chest. Looks like he's having a little bit of trouble setting it up here. But maybe going to get on that right pixel right before the bomb goes off, and does it. Nicely done. So opportunity to make up a little bit of time if progression's not in the big chest. So we'll see what we find. And it looks like it's going to be... Oh, maybe not.
Okay, that works. But here's the problem. After doing every check, he's going to know there's an item in there, and that's going to be a weight that's going to be on his shoulder the entire time, unless he decides to actually claim his big key and go pick it up. Yeah. That is not what you want, and like, it's not stress you want in a race. But
if you're BRB, you're hoping that progression is here on Moldorm, and if not here, you're hoping it's on Green Pendant.
If you're Oro, you don't care, yeah.
Yeah, if you're Oro, it's just like, it's coming. It's just a matter of when and where. So, Moldorm down, just a heart piece. So, we may see BRB go get that big key. Maybe he decides to not. We'll have to find out here in a moment.
So, if you're Oro right now, you basically do Spiral Cave, and then you go visit Saha? That's it?
I mean, the Saha play is you know, huge, I think, at this point. Spiral Cave first, obviously, but Green Pendant going to end up being our next piece of trickle progression.
Mm-hmm. And yeah, BRB is going to claim the key to be able to get the item. Good setup without having to open inventory, which would be a time loss.
And unfortunately, Oro getting deadrocked here. Gonna have to wait for it to wake back up. Man, I hate deadrocks. They really should be like just removed
Sometimes
from the game.
they just don't want to collaborate. The two on the way to go to the rock, when they decide to get stuck in there, they get stuck in there.
BRB stuck on that corner, talking about being stuck, and he's opting to leave, so he waited for basically nothing. We know that's, I mean, not progression, but still could be problematic. So 3 bombs in Spiral. It looks like Sahasrahla is going to be our play, unless it's Spike Cave here.
Unless it's Spike Cave. That's the other that's the other possibility. Where is he? Where is he going? Oh. Yeah, okay, it's going to Spike Cave, but I think isn't it faster to the hook shot to go to the other side?
You know, I'd save and quit and start at the mountain, but Spike Cave coming up empty, and Oro taking a fall there. We'll see where he's going to head next, but looks like BRB going to be headed on over to Sahasrahla.
Yeah, I think the best option there would be to...
Oh no, taking another fall.
Okay, so the fastest thing to do to set up that bomb jump, I feel, is to line yourself to the bottom first, rather than north. Rather to the to the side. You want to actually line yourself down, and when you tap to the hole to the left, you can actually use it. There's kind of a force that pushes you back and sets you in place. So you can actually do small taps and actually line yourself up for your bomb jump, no problem.
All right, so I did forget that BRB has not checked over here.
Yeah.
So I guess, I mean, what do you think we're going to get? I'm assuming mitts. It has to be, right? I mean, we have to find mitts unless we find the stupid mushroom to lead to mitts.
A flute does nothing, a nice rod does nothing. What else is needed? Yeah, it's mushroom or mitts at this point. Nothing else is useful.
I mean, for all we know, we could just... Sahasrahla is just like, we feel bad for you. Here's the Triforce. Suddenly we beat the game, but I don't think that would work too well in a tournament environment such as this.
I think the admins would be like, yeah, that race doesn't count. Why did you hack Harseed? What happened?
All right, so Oro going to be mirroring here into the light world. Oh, BRB taking a fall. Missing that bob jump as well. So for those just joining us, we'll kind of catch you up here. This has been a super linear seed. There was some openness early on, and after that, everything has just kind of been a breadcrumb trail for these guys. We've had to dip a Pendant Desert for a Moon Pearl, and we had to kill Aghanim today. That was something great. We didn't get a glove on Oro's side for an hour 5. I think it was like right at an hour for BRB for making plays in different orders. Still looking for those mitts, and I'm pretty sure we're going to be seeing those here on Sahasrahla, as we were just saying. So that's going to open up a decent chunk. I feel like at this point, when you're these runners, you hope that mitts were going to be your go mode, because there's a lot of checks the mitts open up that you just don't want to have to invest time in.
Yes, and as the prophecies foretold, here's the mitts right there. And now Oro has to make his choice. Do I go to Ice Palace? A play that you don't necessarily want to do because it's only 3 items and gives a pendant that Oro knows for a fact is going to be useless. you can dip to rock, but you cannot finish the dungeon because you need the ice rod to be able to kill Trinex, or you go do the purple chest and the smith chain, which would actually enable him to route a magic bat, which he has yet to do. It appears that since he did a 7-quid mountain, he's going to risk the rock right away, which is also 4 items for sure, potentially 5 plus the item that he's going to find in a Mimic Cave. So 5, potentially 6 items plus, yeah, the Dark Death Mountain checks as well. It's very likely that we find something on here, so I agree with him.
Yeah, I like the play to the mountain. Like you were saying, you do have the hookshot cave as well as Super Bunny. We don't have any worry about medallions, so the play into TR here. I mean, we can't really do any portal saving because of the Aghanim kill, but you know, if Ice Rod doesn't show up, I don't think you'd lose that much time by heading into TR. Just a blue boomerang and 3 bombs there in Super Bunny, so no progression just yet, but we do have a little bit to go here.
4 more checks before we enter the rock, and then we get 6 or 5 more. To me, that makes a lot more sense than doing Smith Chain. Chain feels like a desperate play at that point. I want to do everything before the rock because I need my Ice Rod sort of attitude, which doesn't necessarily win you tournaments. But it's rando and anything's possible. That's what could have happened, that BumRush could do Smith, and then Smith gives you an Ice Rod, and then he skips the Smith Chain, goes straight to Turok, and then try next give him Flute. Go mode.
Yeah, it's very possible. So nothing in Hookshot really of progression value. Only a limited amount of things that we really can get for progression. But here we go. We're going to open up TR.
There's too many checks in there. Even if you cannot complete the dungeon, if you found a flute, that's a win. Especially since if you find a flute there, the Ice Rod can be in Zimar. Definitely know what you want. Wasn't Quake the dungeon we found the left side swamp?
It is, so that's a required left side swamp dip too in this mess of a seed.
Indeed. So that wasn't a waste of time from either runners, and skipping it would have been a grave mistake. Skipping it means you cannot enter a dungeon, means you probably go to Ice Palace right now. Oof.
Well, BRB opting to go ahead and check Catfish, and
he's actually going to get his silvers. That's good for him.
Yeah, that's gonna be a welcome find.
That's actually the silver lining of having more checks. He didn't rush Sashara and gets his, so he's actually going to pick up his constellation silvers there. All the other checks are unfortunately going to be a waste of his time. Does he have things remaining besides Sashara at this point? I'm not sure. I think he did most of the cleanup that he didn't have. Maybe he didn't do Bombos Tablet?
No, he did do Bombos.
If he did.
He did Bombos, he did the digging as well, so this is literally... same for Oro, I guess, in a way, but this is last location, these mids. We'll see if he decides to make the mountain play as well. I know a lot of the items like to show up late in Turtle Rock because of the way the key logic works. So that's still a possibility for Oro's side, but if, you know, BRB could technically get back in this if, you know, you bank on the Smith chain and it actually has something.
Or he could just Ice Palace's answer. I don't know.
Ice Palace, I feel like even if you feel behind, I feel like Ice Palace is really that's some galaxy brain at this point. Since we do know Ped's dead, I guess maybe not for BRB because Ped's not dead for him. He hasn't done the check yet.
I agree with you, but when you full clear the seeds so far, when you feel behind, as both runners probably do with how the seeds lined up, isn't it the time for these galaxy brain plays?
I mean, I've seen, and there was one qualifier for the fall tournament where you know, all 3 pendant dungeons were required for progression, and this is kind of
Hmm.
breathing the same tones. It's just a matter of we haven't gone into ice yet.
Yeah, we need a desert to get the moon pearl. We needed Harahara to actually get the myths. Now it's just 2 for 2. Is it going to be 3 for 3? Time will tell. We will know after we finish the rock if we don't get the ice rod or the flute in there. Ice rod would be interesting to find to rock at this point, just that, because you finish the dungeon and then you're like, now what? Still didn't get my real progression. I got a crystal, but I know I don't have to search for the ice rod anymore. I still need the flute. Where is it? But at that point, you only have 2 plays left. It's the Smith chain with purple chest, and it's going to be the bat for horror as well in there, and then it's Ice Palace. And I feel like at that point you do it in that order.
All right, so we get to check a Mimic Cave. We're still 2 items from go, so you do Mimic first.
We're going to get value in there. Nope. Well, value in terms of 20 bucks, but not value as we want.
All right, so BRB is opting to do the Smith chain. Pretty much the last, I guess, overworld checks that we can do. While he's getting ready to turn that in, there's an ice rod in Turtle Rock. So that is good news for Oro.
That means that was the one. I feel that was the one thing that BRB could have gotten in the Smith chain that would have made a difference. Unfortunately, as I was about to say that, it would be great for him to get Ice Rod. We actually find the Ice Rod at Turrock, so that feels really bad for BRB.
Yeah, the only thing that, and it really wouldn't be an advantage, would be if the flute showed up here. And it would be helpful, but you know, it's still going to put him in mire, potentially full clearing it, whereas Oro would be able to go mode it. You know, there's really, I hate to say it, but there's really it's going to be tough for BRB to pull back into this race.
It's possible if he finds the flute there, and Oro decides to go Ice Palace.
Yeah, that's true.
And he has to full clear Ice Palace because there's an item on coast there.
Yeah, ice is our kind of big variable at this point.
But it doesn't take that long to do Smith Chain. Or like, I feel he has the time buffer to be able to do both plays. So like,
Well, that's a map. And last check, just a key. So
we have an item on Trinex.
We do. So there is still the probability or possibility that the flute shows up on Trinex, and if so, that will be go mode. Just looking for one more item.
So what's on
to get these guys?
It's nothing. So the flute's in Ice Palace or on Trinex.
It's one of the two.
Sometimes you have to get creative in some rooms, change your mind. It just looks really weird what you're doing. I understand 100% what was going on there. Sometimes you do things and you think, why did I do that? What is wrong with me? It's just you're too busy thinking about routing, because I'm pretty sure Or was thinking like his options are drying up.
See, this is the time of the seed where, as me being in the driver's seat, this is why I play a lot of races with no mic, because I'm yelling at myself for like, what are you doing? Like, I'm my biggest critic. I always yell at myself when I do dumb things, but I totally can relate to the way that whole scenario went as well. But down goes both heads for Trinex, and then off we go to phase 2. Gonna have to take down this one. Getting that spin in just needs 3 more slashes, and down he goes. So we got one item here. This is gonna be our 6th crystal. Let's see if this is gonna pay out for us.
Is it mushroom? Oh, no, it's more health. 13. Lucky number 13.
Yeah, you called it. It's ice. It's got to be in ice. Well, the progression to lead to the flute, some way or another, has to be in ice. It still could, I guess, be on a mushroom, but good night. None of us want any more fetch quests.
Yeah, and there's enough of waiting that typically fetch quests, you find them in GT. That's probably up there. At this point, with the amount of checks left, the probabilities are very good that it's in GT, but also okay, you're clearing Ice Palace. You know you just want one item. You find a mushroom in ice. Do you immediately bail and turn it in, hoping that's the flute? Or do you clear?
I mean, if it's a group race, yes.
Yeah.
Like, because you got to try to make a Galaxy Brain play sometimes, but 1v1, I think you just cleared out.
That is a possibility, though. So Aura's going to go straight to do the Smith checks, which makes sense. It's faster to do overall than Ice Palace. Plus, the place that you complete them sets you up to just dash to be able to enter Ice Palace, so it is better routing, in my opinion. But at this point, it ties the plays neatly together, but the correct play is what's going to actually save you the most time there. So unfortunately, it's better routing, but it's also not correct, therefore it's worse than if you did it in the other order, so whatever.
That's our, advantage, being able to see this from both perspectives.
Yeah, exactly. So Oro still has almost a full dungeon advantage.
Yeah, pretty much.
Half a dungeon?
I'd say it was a full dungeon.
Because, okay, what has BumRush not done?
I don't think BumRush has actually done Graveyard Ledge. So that may...
No, he did.
Oh, he did do that, okay.
I believe he routed it later, and he did that right before Catfish with King's Tomb. So I think it's really half a dungeon advantage right now. Because by the time that Oro turns in the purple chest, that's where it's going to be.
BRB giving us a nice little Keen swag dash there to gonna go both ways with it to avoid the damage from those rollers. And this is a good time. I like what Oro did here. This is him bundling in Magic Bat with all of it. So adding a little more value to this area by leaving this for when he could do the Smith chain.
Getting closer to full inventory. Unfortunately, he didn't pick up his net, so it's never going to happen. Who cares about the net anyway? Net is so bad, it removes value from inventory. Are the chain jumps going to be nice today? Not really. But it's fine.
Alright, so Oro going to be showing us some tech here. I don't know if it's faster with the save and quit. Maybe it is, but going to be able to leave the chest behind. So the way this works, it's nice you can do this with boots. You basically don't want to do any checks or do any mirroring, and when you mirror, you want to mirror basically on top of the turn-in point, not the NPC itself, but the turn-in point, and it'll actually register that the chest is with you, so you can turn it in. So a little time save, being able to dash here.
In my mind, this feels equivalent if you execute it well or not. Okay, and now that's the cue that Oro is like, okay, it's Ice Palace, can be nothing else. Let's go to Ice Palace, and let's hope that it's early in the dungeon, so I don't have to full clear. First chest would be perfect. And then you get the flute, you're in go mode, you go to Mizumar, you find the big key, you go kill Vidrius, and then you get your 7 GT, you find the big key, you go up, you kill a wizard, you kill a pig, the end.
That's a whole lot left to do, but it'll go so quickly.
A lot to do, but sub 2 is still realistic, I feel. Depends how much the Bicky decides to troll. Like, if it's difficult to find both the key to Mizmar and both the GDB key and the flute, then yeah, getting that sub 2s might be a little bit dicey, but it feels realistic to me. But yeah, the C has been so near, you don't really blame any runners for with a less than average finish for people in the tournament. But yeah, it's just the C decides your end time, which is why it's always funny when people are specifically looking to perform certain ways, or like they're trying to beat their PB. Am I going to beat my PB in this race? It's like, your PB is going to come when the seed decides it's time for you to get a PB.
Exactly.
You don't decide if you have a seed that you can finish in an hour 10. You don't decide if you get a seed that's basically almost impossible to finish sub 2 hours, even by good players. You just need to go with the flow. Sometimes you're doing race on SIL and no below 2 hours because the seed demanded something really horrible, like triple dip to rock forced. It's like, when it happens, it happens. Just go with it.
Alright, so Oro narrowing down the checks here. I believe in that first chest we got 3 bombs. Opting to not do the bomb jump here. No real need to. It's a little nicer to route this in when you're full clearing, when, you know, you don't have the pegs up here, or even in the lower portion as well.
The probabilities are on his side that he doesn't have to kill Cold Stare. He picks up his flutes and he leaves. So if he doesn't have to kill Cold Stare, then he saves time not doing the bomb jump. And even if he has to, then because he has Samaria, then he can manage just fine. So there are no problems whatsoever for him not doing the bomb jump. And he saves time if the flute's in any chest other than straight up on Cold Stare.
Yeah, it's kind of like roll the dice, see where it shows up. Alright, so small key there.
BumRush opening all the chests in Turok. It's headed to the boss. And there is flute in that
1 hour 40 minutes and 40 some seconds. We have hit go mode. Just have to remember to go activate the thing. That's usually important.
Though if you forget, then you just menu to it and mash the button, nothing happens, and you're like, oh yeah, I need to do that. So not much of a time loss if you make that mistake, thankfully. And yeah, with a save and quit just dashing there, it's pretty fast. Meanwhile, BRB going to finish Trinex, and I do believe that after that kill, there is nowhere for him to go except Ice Palace. So yeah. we're about that. We're about half a dungeon advantage on the side of Oro, just pure execution wise. So it's a difference in time that it's not impossible to get back. Say Oro go full left in GT and turns out that the big key was right, and like some decisions like that can be a significant time gain. Plus in Mizumar, if the big key ends up being in that annoying chest you don't want to check, and you go straight to go do that one instead of doing like the cutscene chest and all the fire long checks in Mire, while your opponent does that, then you do gain a lot of time. So like these things, if those things line up, then you can come back. So BRB going to go do a Spike Cave right now. Or wait, we're going back to Hera? Oh, right. Oh, yes, I remember. Yeah, so when he got stuck to the pegs, he didn't go back. He decided to leave. So he's coming back for it since he found no real value in Turok instead of the Ice Rod. That adds up a lot of time, unfortunately. You know how much people are trying to do everything they can to not have to do Tower Room in Mire, and how frequently it is skipped. So, fortunately, that's a lot of buffer time that Oro just gained magically there. So
it is, you know, and I get it. If I'm BumRush, I'm worried about this check too, because there's only a few places left, and you feel like, well, maybe I've left something behind. But
when you have 4 checks left and they're all stuff you skip, the anxiety is at an all-time high.
Yeah, and I mean, both runners, it's safe to skip Ice Palace till last, I think, just because it's, in this case, it's a pendant, and you know how often does the Ice Rod show up in TR such as it did tonight? I mean, it's almost a scenario where you can almost expect it to, but it's not guaranteed.
The Big Key decided to not be nice and give a Godmire tonight. Unfortunately, but it could be still nearby. But Oro's routing decision right now does matter in how quickly he's going to get the Big Key versus his opponent. It's always going to be a given that the first 2 checks that he did were going to be done by his opponent right away as well. The order of the rest matters.
Right. Well, no key.
It appears that he's going to prioritize the checks that are not locked by... Oh, yeah, he prioritized the checks that were not really time-consuming, and then he was probably going to wrap around and go back to do the cutscene chest last. And that decision paid off. He actually found his Big Key in the main room. So now he can go straight to the boss, but he has to be a little bit careful about his health. He's going to have to powder some anti-fairies somewhere.
Like so, that. We had a situation there where Oro decided to go check that chest, you know, left side before doing the arena, and there's a nice little caveat there, or a nice little way to read logic. So it only works one way, but if you are in that Firelock northern room and there's a small key, that guarantees the Big Key is going to be in the cutscene chest. Now, if it's not a small key, that does not guarantee that it's not going to be there. So it doesn't work that way. But not having that small key there kind of gave a little more incentive to go back to the center there to check that arena chest, and it paid off with that Big Key showing up.
That is true. It even gives like an incentive to, you know, that annoying chest I was talking about earlier?
Yeah.
The one past the big chest I forget how to call it all the times. Like it's the map chest, right? Something like that.
I think it's either map or compass, something like that.
It's one of these.
Nice job there from Oro, getting spooky action in both of those rooms. We'll see if he can finish it up here in the third and final room. That's a little bit of a time save as well.
Yeah, though executing the last spooky action is really simple. You just use fire up torch the end. There's no real variable with a moving object. Just do that, no problem. And then we have the silvers that we picked up previously. That's going to be really simple and finishing the boss, though, there's a surprisingly high amount of arrows that went leftwards instead of upwards.
Sometimes that happens. You fat finger the D-pad or whatever controller you're using, but that's 7 crystals for Oro. So guys, we're headed to GT. We just got to find that Big Key. Once we do that, we can climb the tower, run the gauntlet, and take on Agatu and Ganon.
Also, we have the ultimate safety in the form of the red mail, courtesy of Vidrus. So that 13 HP just extended a lot. So it is time to play the game. I don't know if people still play the game. I guess I will enter something in the chat. What number did people not pick? I will pick...
I'm just copying GFE in chat because 20 seems nice, but it's still not tile room usually. I feel like this seed's been so linear and so painful to be, you know, I say painful in the sense of if I'm running this seed, I'm not having a great time because of how linear
Oh
it
yeah.
is. So
So you know what?
the traditional
I know what the
continue.
play is. I'm going to enter 1.
That's one way to do it.
The seed's going to go, yeah, sure, I've been mean. Now, just go. And you're suffering. So yeah, we had almost full clear of every single dungeon in the game. Feels great, doesn't it?
Progression ends up in every single pendant dungeon. So guys, what the biggest highlight probably of the seed, and we'll have to ask the runners their opinion on it after this, but not getting a glove for an hour in, getting 5 crystals before you have a single glove, just absolutely unreal.
No, that's always going to lead to longer seeds, and it could have been much shorter if Turok decided to be nice and give the fruit, but no, have to go to the 3rd pendant dungeon. As we were talking earlier, all 3 pendant dungeons were important. Desert Palace gave you the Moon Pearl, so you can actually get Darkhold access. Then you had Tower Hair that you needed to do to get the Green Pendant in order to get the Myths from Sashrana, and you got Ice Palace for the flute. So this seed is very rude.
Alright, so Oro opting to go left side first. This could be a Dark Magician play. I'm not sure if he has a specific route he likes to take, but just 50 rupees on the torch. That's going to be check number 1. Got 4 checks in here. This will be 2 through 5. Have a small key. A nice fire shield, finally upgrading that. 3 bombs and a small key. So Oro going to grab the mirror. Looks like we are going to do Dark Magician strats.
Then we'll see if what I was thinking of when I wrote 1 is going to be correct. But now I'm not correct because of his order. No, small key. We have a lot of small keys. It's time to burn them. Meanwhile, BumRush activating his flute is going to head to Mizrimire to get his last crystal. So we're 1 dungeon and a quarter advantage on the side of Oro.
Yeah,
So
a lot of things stacking up in Oro's favor.
It's a comfortable lead.
Oh yeah, and the biggest thing for Oro here, throughout this seed, if you haven't watched the whole thing, Oro has played phenomenally. Execution really on point tonight, doing very well. So that really being a huge factor, and that's why you always want to be potentially playing as best you can. You never know when that execution factor is gonna, you know, potentially be a deciding factor. You just know you always want it to be at its highest level for that scenario.
Yeah. Routing can save you time, making the correct decision can save your time, but just playing well, having good execution, that is something that you carry through every single seed that you play and always adds up. So a lot of people are wondering how to improve, just find a place that you're losing a lot of time and just get good at it. And if executing a boss better, you save half a minute doing it, then that's half a minute you just gained every single seed. So like your goal of getting a seed sub 2, you just shorten it by a massive amount. And if you have an issue somewhere that is that significant time-wise, as losing half a minute somewhere, there's probably other places that you can easily squeeze more time at places and actually improve your finish times a lot. That's really good.
Absolutely. We did manage to find that mirror shield, so we have the equivalent of the butter shield, as some people like to say, but still no butter sword. We're still untempered. We'll see what we find here.
It's either in GT somewhere, and we're likely to see it, maybe. So like, Oro opened so many chests. How do you not open the chest upstairs? Like, the odds of finding butter sword there are so high.
Yeah.
I know that better runners would probably skip it, because on a Ganon fight, if you can 1-1 cycle with Tempered Sword, then it makes absolutely no difference. But sometimes it's nice to have be able to put your brain off and do phase 1, phase 2 of Ganon effortlessly, especially since this seed has been going on for so long. Like the runners have to be pretty mentally tired at this point. The constant stress of, is the one thing that I skipped the thing that's setting me back this entire time? It's entirely possible. So right now we basically have 4 checks left in GT. 5 technically, because of not technically, straight up because of title room.
So that was check number 19. Wait, no, 18? Can I math? 18, 19, 20. No, that was 19. We got 3 here. Something like that. We're getting close to 20. It's getting really bad. Math is hard this late for me.
Math is very hard. And that's the big key.
Hey, 19. There it is.
So why not open the other chests?
I mean, you might as well at this point.
Yeah. Did we leave an item in Mizumar? I think so, right?
Yes, I do believe we did.
Yes. So there's 1 item in Mizumar, there is 1 item in Ice. And there's likely to be 1 item in Tile Room. That's the only 3 locations that I think remain that could contain Butter Sword, except what remains in GT and Tile Room. It could be on the mushroom, wherever the mushroom is.
Yeah, mushroom could be, you know, Moldorm's chest, for all we know.
Ugh, that's gross. I guess you can turn it in if you're not confident you're Ganon fighting, go buy potions, right? So that's the silver lining there. And we get the verified for BRB. Very quickly executed with the silvers that he was lucky to go pick up from Catfish earlier. Gets his red mail, and now it's time to fly to GT. It's probably faster to menu to Flute and fly there now that they added the extra time to the saving quit, right? Yeah.
Most definitely. This is a scenario where you want to, I mean, it's not a huge time loss. It's just, it's minuscule, but it's like you say in a race, every second matters, so.
When's now an hour 55 and you finally got your 7 crystal, like, you're thinking of all the small mistakes you made.
You're also thinking of, that glove really got me tonight with the way the item layout was.
Oh yeah, we haven't said it in this way, but when you think about it, one glove was behind the red crystals, the other glove was behind the green pendant. So both gloves were behind the respective fancy special dungeon prize.
That's interesting. I don't think I've ever seen something quite like that happen.
Yeah. That's a pretty funny thing that you can say about a seed. That sums it up really well. Like, you needed to go do these special fetch quests in order to get all of your both of your gloves. And it's not just both. It's not just a good item on both checks. It's specifically the gloves. One of the items that's progressive that you need both of them to finish the seed.
Yeah, and there's no way of getting around that. This isn't inverted mode.
So we have BRB entering the tower as Oro is halfway to climbing it. More than halfway, in fact.
Yeah, we're getting to the end of this. Just a couple of chests. I think we're going to bypass all those, yeah. So just a matter of dealing with a pesky Moldorm 2 and Aga 2 and Ganon 1. I guess Ganon 1 through 4 because we got 4 phases of that.
And not opening the chest, we don't need butter. Though the odds of finding butter in these 4 chests was so high. Oh, a fall.
Oh. Moldorm not playing kind. These things.
That's definitely a thing that adds a lot of stress to you. As you're an hour 57, you're looking at RC, there's no dot done yet. It's like, was that the fall that caused it? Well,
like, because you can't predict when your opponent may take a death or have something like that happen. And when you're kind of in a stressful situation like a tournament race, you just assume. I mean, some runners don't, but you just assume that any mistake you made, it's very easy to just assume the other one did not make it. So you can feel behind from it, or you could just feel pretty neck and neck. So Oro doing a good job here, keeping composure, just finishing up that Moldorm fight, and off we go to Aga 2.
Let's see if he's going to be friendly today. That's a pretty annoying pattern to get a triple. He gets a unfortunately. Oh, that's good. Oh. Sometimes Aga fights, he just releases the spin at the wrong time and then it just goes in random directions, unfortunately. But still, like, Oro has a lot of buffer time over his opponent, so when he makes some mistakes, I doubt he's going to die in this fight.
Yeah, I mean, you got red mail, we're good. Down goes Aga 2, and off we go to fight the big pig atop the pyramid or inside it, something like that.
It's very rare that you see someone die on Aga. That actually, like a very long time ago, when I was much worse at the game, I didn't understand how to do swordless Aga. Not even Aga 2, Aga 1. I was trying to like hit it with a hammer and I was doing upwards and it wasn't working. And if it's a blue ball, you basically get hit every time. So over time, trying to figure it out, I watched my health go down and thinking to myself, am I really dying to Aga? Come on.
Swordless, it's not such a free fight, but so we're through phase 1 here, off to phase 2. Oro getting a nice teleport here, getting to be able to get the double spin. Spins count double, so that's 2 plus 2.
That's the freest way to actually accomplish phase 2 fight.
Yeah, it's so nice when it lines up that way. So off we go to phase 3. Just have to get 4 slashes in as long as he doesn't teleport 37 plus times.
Now it's just about hitting it 2 more times, and then
and we do have silvers. Gonna get 1 hit in, manages to get the torch glitch. Not something he's really required to do here with the silver arrows and half magic, but getting it nonetheless. 3rd hit going in now, and it looks like we're about to get this finished up. Delivering that 4th and final blow to Ganon, and nowhere near the topmost pixel. Has the sword in the air, so bridge will spawn. No falling today for Oro, so big congrats to him. Get those GGs in chat. Oro's going to take game 1.
Indeed, and you finish with an official SR 2 hours, 1 minute and 14 seconds. So when I said that sub 2 was entirely possible still, well, the big key decided to be mean. So if you didn't have to do the entire route and kill Ice Armors, I'm pretty sure that would have been no problem. But that's what we expressed earlier. It's just purely depends on some dungeons being nice or not sometimes. But we are joined with Oro on Discord.
Hey,
Oro,
good evening.
Good evening. How do you feel about the seed?
I feel like
I'm quite cruel, right?
I feel like I just ran 3 seeds in a row.
Yeah, it has to be pretty mentally exhausting after the seed has been pretty linear, right? Like,
yeah, this is definitely. I've never seen a seed where I had 5 crystals before I had 1 glove.
We were talking about that. It was quite the thing. Another thing Kira pointed out, and this is really interesting. Both of your gloves were locked behind the either special crystals or the special pendant. So each one was behind each of those different barriers.
Yeah, that was pretty awful. And every single time I was like pretty much running out of places where a glove could be when I got it.
Yeah, like the way you've routed was pretty. It was pretty efficient and full clearing. Like the only thing I can really remember that's the thing that you really hard skip was Magic Bat. Besides that, you've been very efficient with your clears, and in a given seed like that, it was basically the way to go. Because every single thing that you skipped, and it would have been inconvenient to go back to pick up, that's significant time loss.
And I honestly was going to go to Magic Bat, but then I remembered that I didn't have mitts, so it'd be longer to go up there and then to go back down. So I just continued going around and did, I think, Pyramid into Catfish into King's Tomb and Graveyard Ledge, and then just continued up the mountain from there, which kind of worked out because turns out, then I just kind of did Magic Bat with the whole rest of the Smith chain when I was just looking for the flute.
Yeah. Is there in time the seed where you're thinking to yourself, oh, I've made a grave mistake, I should not have done that, and I think I figured out the seed, but I don't really want to jump the gun and go straight for it? Was there a time that you were thinking, I should be doing that instead?
I really, really thought that doing Spike Cave was going to pay off. I was kind of shocked when it was just 20 rupees. Because I was thinking about the fact that while like the cape kind of was Aga access, the Master Sword was also available. And I just got Burna, so it kind of felt like there was a good chance that there was a reason I got those items and that there's going to be something there. So I really tried to go and do Spike Cave, and it wasted a lot of time doing that when it just turning in the green pendant was the play.
And clearly the cape was to get the net, right?
Of course. Yeah, that and the mushroom, the only items I missed.
We don't know where the mushroom is, but there are so little checks left in the game.
Yeah, I had one item left in Ice Palace, and otherwise I had Mire Shed and Checkerboard, and 2 items in Mire. Otherwise, I full cleared the game.
Oh yeah, of course, yeah, and whatever is upstairs, GT, yeah. Yeah, we had so little left. It would have been so easy to actually find it, but at the point, like, we got go mode about 1 hour, 40 minutes, 41 minutes, something like that. At this point, you don't sit around to try to find it. You just go for it.
Yeah.
Get to the end.
Yeah, and one thing, if you decide to go back and watch this, I do want to comment on your execution was pretty much top notch tonight. Everything kind of came up your way. You executed and got bosses done when they counted. BumRush did take a couple of unfortunate deaths to Moth and Helmasaur, and you being able to knock those fights out in one go definitely gave you a little bit time advantage as well. I know you routed in Ped kind of early, and that kind of swung the lead just because of the one check. But that early in a seed, a lead is not really a lead, as we kind of know. But I did want to touch on that. The execution tonight from you was very good. So props for that.
Thank you very much. Yeah, I mean the seed was so linear that I was kind of actually worried. Especially for the first hour, it was so linear that I was worried it was going to come down to just an execution test. And I know BumRush has really, really good execution. I saw it during the mentor tournament, and I've seen some of his races recently that he's really good at execution. He's getting better. So I was actually concerned about that.
And he actually had a few problems in this given seed. That's something we're going to get more into once he joins us for the interview, once he's done wrapping up the Agatha 2 fight and the Ganon fight.
Yeah, the way the seed's logic tonight, unfortunately, I say unfortunately, it worked out for you, but it was one of those deals where BumRush, when he had a couple mistakes, just there was no opportunity unless he were to, dive Ice Palace, which, you know, who wants to dive a pendant Ice Palace when you can potentially full clear Turtle Rock, since it's almost a given the Ice Rod's going to show up there. So, like, everything just kind of was in a breadcrumb trail tonight. There was really no way to quote unquote blow the seed wide open. And I mean,
Yeah.
if you were worried about that execution test, man, you definitely passed it tonight.
Yeah, the seed, like every single time, it was like, okay, I get one item, and that unlocks like 15 checks in one area, and I go do all those checks, and I get one item that unlocks 17 checks in another area, and it's just like, okay, I'm just going wherever this next item tells me.
Yeah, like, is the point where you actually had the decision to take, but not really when you got myths, basically, because Ice Palace is open, but you do Ice Palace over Dark DM plus the Rock? Not really, so...
Yeah, it was Ice Palace or Smith's Chain or all of Dark Death Mountain and Turtle Rock.
Yeah, and unfortunately in that there's kind of a sort of a clear order. You're always going to do Ice Palace last unless you're really unconfident, because that's the more risky plays, and both players did the pet check, so you guys all knew that pet was dead, so the pendant in Ice Palace was completely useless. So
I almost kind of wish that I didn't do the ped check, because it turned out that there was necessary progression in all three pendants.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it would have given you a little more high priority on those for sure if you didn't want to I guess actively try to avoid the pendants if possible.
Oh, again and fall by BRB, unfortunately. So close to the end, but unfortunately we're going to have to take two.
And that was really just like that Ganon pattern was just perfect. I don't think I had any teleports in phase 3, and he put himself right up against a wall during phase 2. So
yeah, I don't remember any. Oh yeah, your phase 2, basically the perfection, what everyone wants to see, basically. Yeah, I was thinking of something. At the end, when you had solo checks left, basically Ice Palace, if you open checks and you found a mushroom, do you leave immediately and turn the mushroom?
no, I was thinking about that. I was thinking, no, I'm gonna either find 3 items, find the mirror, and I'm not leaving until one of those things happens, or find the flute.
Yeah, that makes sense. And BRB getting into phase 3, 1 hit in. It's all about where the warps are going to be nice, and unfortunately, when you fall to Ganon, then the warps become randomized. So this is going to be much longer.
Many warps.
Yeah.
All right, so we've already got 1 silver hit in. Oh no, unfortunately not able to get the double in. So gonna need a final shot here at the Big Pig.
There we go.
And down goes Ganon for BumRushBlitz. So get those GGs in chat for BRB as well. And we'll get you that official time when he... And BumRushBlitz is finishing in 2nd place tonight with an official SRL time of 2 hours, 11 minutes, and 12 seconds. And we are joined in chat now by BumRushBlitz. GG.
Yo, GG.
So 1 hour, 1 hour glove, basically for both of you guys. That's
yeah.
That's interesting, right?
Mm-hmm. That's one way to put it.
I was gonna say, so we noticed. I have to ask. There was a long pause after Thieves Town, and ended up taking a death, and I don't know if that was like an intentional type thing, or what was. Do you want to say what was going on there?
Yeah, sure. So about 15 minutes in, I really had to pee. And so for 40 minutes, I held it in. And I figured after I beat a boss, when it was doing the fanfare, that was the best time to leave. because there was never going to be a better time to leave the room and go pee. So
that's funny.
I did that, and then as soon as I came back into the room, I like saw myself die. I was like, okay, well, I guess I'll just like, save and quit, continue from wherever, and try and make up the time. But yeah, I recommend peeing before doing a race.
Always.
That's funny.
That's unfortunate. I've seen that happen before. So it's you're not the first, and I guarantee you won't be the last to make that mistake.
You just kind of practice. You got to practice the Andy strats and hand off the controller to a friend sitting behind you.
Oh my god!
Right. I thought about trying to like pee in a cup or something, but that that wasn't gonna.
That's a bit too gross.
Yeah. If you're truly dedicated to the calls, you keep like a 5-gallon bucket. I'm kidding.
But yeah, also BRB, you had a little bit of difficulties through the seed, despite being distracted by your urge to pee. You had a little bit problems on pod, namely.
Right.
Yeah, was that a thing that did you stay in a good mood after that, or were you thinking, oh no, my race is completely over, it's all done because of dying to a boss that takes a while to get to? Like, what was going through your brain then?
I definitely didn't feel good. I mean, that was still during the period where I had to pee, so I was like kind of blaming it on that the entire time. But yeah, after that happened, I didn't feel good, but I knew that there was never going to be a better time to finish pod, so I just had to finish it out. And then, after that, I went to Skull Woods, and the same thing happened. I died on the boss and had to go back through.
Yeah.
And then that's kind of what made me want to be like, okay, I just need to get this taken care of because it's just going to get worse and worse. But overall, I didn't feel terrible. I mean, the seed was also really bad, so
yeah,
there is that,
No, and that's the problem. Like, basically, because of these two deaths, Oro constantly had a little bit of lead over you in terms of overall checks and progression, and the seed gave not much for people to actually work with to actually make a comeback in the seed. You got the major item, like say the myths. You basically have already a plan in your head of which order you should tackle all the myths check, and if it turns out that the correct play is the last one, then it's still going to be the last one because the other plays were important to make and also good. So that was a big problem with the seed, like the inability to be able to come back, and also I suppose that both runners near the end of the race going up GT, you were basically both looking at the time go up and wondering, were you going to sub to this?
Right.
Yeah.
I normally keep IRC minimized while I'm in a race, but after I killed Vidi, I checked and I said, okay, BRB hasn't done yet, so maybe I'll get into GT. Then I checked again once I got the big key, and okay, still hasn't finished. And I checked again when I did the AGA 2, and I was like, oh my god, maybe somehow I am still in the lead despite 100%ing the seed.
Oh yeah, BRB had to revisit our hair as well. That also costs you a significant amount of time, unfortunately. But at that point, you had like so little checks left that it would have been a massive risk to skip it, right?
Mm-hmm.
What
That's
happened?
kind of what I was thinking. Because I originally went into Tower of Hera early, and after I did the Hera pot, went up to the top, finished, and there was one item, or there was the big key in the basement, which led to the big chest.
Mm-hmm.
And so when I did the basement, I got the glitch where you're like in between the two pegs, and so at that point I figured, okay, well, it's just a waste of time. There's still a lot of things to go check, so I left. And then after checking a bunch more things, I still hadn't found, I think, either the ice rod or the flute at that point. So I was like, well, after I finished.
That was when you left Turok, so you got the ice pod in Turok, killed Trinex, and then you went back. If I remember
Right. Yeah, I went back after Turtle Rock because I was like, well, now there's so few things. Fluke could still be in there, and I could have missed this, the first time I went into Hera, so I went back. And that didn't feel great either. And then it was a 1 rupee.
Yeah, the 1 rupee, unfortunately, just kind of adds that insult to injury. But
Right.
I think someone said this in chat, but the way the seed panned out, I do not envy you guys for being the runners of this, but I guess chat was a winner because all the memes basically happened, as well as having to fight Aga. So I do hope for both of you guys you have a more we'll call it enjoyable from the running perspective seed for your game 2. And speaking of game 2, BRB, since you did lose tonight, you were the one who gets to make the change. Have you decided what change, or if you're going to make a change for the settings for game 2?
I haven't decided. I might rewatch the race and see how it went, and then depend on that. I may change nothing, but it's still up in the air.
And speaking of game 2, do you guys have anything tentatively scheduled you want to announce for the chat to potentially follow you guys and see when that's gonna be happening?
We haven't talked about it.
Not really yet. Yeah.
Okay, so it's to be determined.
Yeah.
But with that being said, give both of these guys a follow. They sure earned it tonight with the mess that the seed was. On top of that, do be sure to give the if you haven't heard about the Go Mode podcast, that's what this channel is kind of all about in a way. Be sure to let me put a link here. There's a link to the Go Mode podcast website if you're interested in link to the past randomizer, and I assume you are if you're here watching this stream. It's a nice little podcast where we discuss a lot of things on this or about this game. Super interesting, fun to hang out with this community. There is a Discord for the Go Mode podcast community as well. That link's in the chat. Feel free to join that. Ask questions if you're new, or if you're a seasoned runner, you're welcome as well. All skills are welcome. And yeah, I think we could go ahead and start wrapping things up. Anything else the Oro and BumRush you want to add to this or about?
There's nothing left to say about the seed, but GG BumRush, and thank you both for commentating, and thank you to the tracker for putting together this whole show. I look forward to watching and hearing what you guys had to say while we were playing.
Yeah, I mean, same. not much else to add from that. Oh, and pee before races. That's my note.
Yeah, always
final note.
Always do that. And we did put a link in there, so all the crew's Twitch channels are linked as well. I do want to thank Xylo Price for doing the tracking for us tonight, as well as Amerith for doing the restream. And I do want to thank my co-commentator, Chirality. Always a pleasure working with you. Had a great time calling this match.
Indeed, even though I don't know why. Usually I'm on top of all the checks and keeping track of everything, and today my head's on the clouds, so hopefully next time it's going to be much better.
Yeah, if you guys watch this back, don't judge us too hard on us missing some checks. That happened a couple times. But but all things considered, I think it was a successful night. But we'll go ahead and wrap things up. Thank you guys again for putting on a show for us. I'm going to leave it to Chirality to close us out.
Yeah, so this has been a wonderful race for the Challenge Cup. So thank you everyone for watching. Game 2 of the BRB versus Aura match is going to be scheduled soon, so stay tuned for another race that hopefully is going to have a little bit more possibilities of back and forth coming. But thank you for joining us tonight, and we'll see you in the next one. Good night.